Alright, so now we're going to look at the Presonus board as a whole. Okay? Live music is different from a regular show, and we're just going to look at how to do a regular straight play for now. Okay? So let's take a look at channels 1 and 2 here. Alright? Again, channels 1 and 2 are the main speakers, stage left and right. Stage right is channel 1, stage left is channel 2. If I want to adjust the EQ on either of these, what I'll do is I'll start with the select button, which is already pushed, or I could go to this one, and you'll see here that channel 1 is my left speaker. If you're looking at the speakers, it's the left one, and here's channel 2, and that's all the way to the right. I can adjust that with this knob here by just turning that. Okay, then if I want to adjust the EQ, what I'll do is, let me turn off this light because it's kind of hard to see. There we go. What I'll do is I'll come up here and I will adjust the EQ. I've got my low, mid, and high. Okay, now this is the area where I want it, where I like it. And in order to adjust these, you have to make sure that the on button is lit up. And if I want to do a shelf, which hopefully you know what that means, if not, take a look at EQ shelves, and what it means to shelf an EQ, especially high and low, because that's what you would be shelving, is either the high or the low. My frequency is set here with this dial, and then the amount of gain for that frequency is set with the other dial, and that's like that 2x2 on all of these. Okay, so I can set all of these here with this. The other thing that I will do, let me zoom out so you can see where I'm going, is I set where this is going, where channel 1's going. Right now I have it going to both sub 4 and the main. This is just the setup that I did with White Christmas. See, sub 4 and main. Turn those back on. Then that volume level is set over here on the board. So typically I'll leave the main at unity, as well as these other channels over here, the ones that are coming from QLab. I leave them at just one area so I can adjust the levels on QLab and not have to worry about adjusting them on the board. For musicals, sometimes it's a little bit different, pending the song and the person and a lot of different stuff like that. But for a straight play and for most musicals, it's going to stay like that, whereas these are the mics. These are going to be all over the place. My mutes are here at the bottom, and again, I'm assigning over here where I'm sending each of these channels. So for the mics, push select. I'm going to subs 1 and 2, which are the ones in the back, and then 4 and main. 4 is their monitor, and then mains are the ones that are coming out of the front of the stage. My gain is here at the top. Okay, this sets how loud the faders can go. If I push the fader all the way up and this is all the way down, well, you're not going to get any sound. If I turn this all the way up and have the fader just up a little bit, you're still going to be blaring. Alright, so I have most of these either set at 12 o'clock or 10 o'clock right now. The mics are set at 10. The QLab inputs are at 12 o'clock. And then you also have to set which one is an input. So channels 9 through 16 obviously are not inputs. While they have signal coming in, input on this board means that it's coming from a computer source or from the FireWire. That's channels 1 through 8 in this case. With the wireless mics that we have, I don't have to give it 48 volts, which would be phantom power. I do have to do that for Live Music is Better. Again, we'll get into that later. When I'm sending effects out to the theater, sometimes I run out of subs and out of effects speakers. So if I'm using everything and I go, oh no, I need another effect that's coming from somewhere backstage, I can use one of the auxes. Let me zoom in. Alright, so let me see if I can focus that. It's a little bit better. Maybe, maybe not. So the aux here, that looks better, is something that I can use as another speaker. What I'll do is on the back of the board, the easiest way to do it, yes, you can do it up at the patch panel. Sometimes I get into a rush and I'll go to the back of the board and I'll do it the wrong way, and I'll unplug whatever's in aux 1, and then I'll put in a new 1/4 inch from aux 1 and then run it down below to the amp, to whichever amp I'm sending out that signal where the speaker is, because the amp goes to the speaker. So you have, if we're going backwards, you have speaker, then amp, which is down below the board, and then comes up to the board, and then from the board it goes to the computer. Okay? So I can send a channel to the aux. How I do that is very easy. So from QLab, I'll say, okay, I want this signal to come to channel, let's say 6, okay? And channel 6 is going to be the one that goes out to this additional speaker. Now, channel 6 is really one of these back speakers, but just for this illustration, what I'll do is I'll go to control here, the button that says control on aux 1, mix. Right now, none of these have anything going to aux 1. So I would turn up channel 6 right here, and that's going to be the signal that's going out to aux 1. I'm going to turn it down so I don't forget. Now there's a gain on aux 1, which is this output knob here. So you can only have as strong of a signal going out as this output knob allows. I don't run these that high. Well, I run them higher than the gain above here for the channels, but for this I'm hitting about 2 o'clock. There's different things you can do. You can run in an EQ on it. You can do different mixes, of course, and you can run different effects to your auxes as well. You don't have to worry about running effects, though. The effects are over here for a regular show, because you're doing all of that beforehand and then just putting in the cues into QLab. You will have to worry about doing that for Live Music is Better show, though. Again, you run that from your mix, and you would pick how much of a certain effect you want on the mix. I did run some effects for Wizard of Oz, and I ran it through the board because I was doing a live mic on stage. And you use the same principles that you would, of course, with a Live Music is Better show, and we'll get into that in another video. Something else that you want to know about on this board are where the input and output knobs are, or buttons, I should say. Here's your input, and this shows what's coming into the board. This is very important in a musical because you want to know how much signal you're getting over here from each of your mics. If you're blaring, then you need to bring your mics down because you don't want a ton of signal coming in because it's going to sound nasty. You want to have it mid-range to lower, and then be able to bring up your volume here at the board. Alright, then you can see your output, which pretty much shows the same thing, what's being sent out, and from where, which channel. You'll see all of that here as far as what channel's putting out what. You have, for this screen here, you have scenes that you can pick. You can also pick this at the computer. Let me flip you over here real quick to the computer. This is the digital version of the board. So if you're changing things here and clicking mute and all that, it's going to change it on the board as well. You can also change this stuff through an iPad if you're walking around. We'll get into all of that later. We're just worried about the board right now. So you have scenes that you can change, and then make sure that I always use scene 20 BRCT for anything that's going on main stage, and then just set it back when I need to. For live music is better, typically we're on, let's see if I can remember what it is, and I can't right now. But let's say we're just on a different scene. You would click scene, find out whichever one you're on because it shows it right here on the screen. Go back to S20 and it says BRCT right next to that, and then you'll push recall. And you'll push it again and hold it, and it will bring it back. You'll see all the buttons change and light up and all that type of stuff. If you've adjusted something and you want to save it, then you'll push store. So store, push it again, and there we go. You're good to go. If you want to recall, there you go, and you are back where you should be. Okay? And if you wanted to recall a live music is better scene, obviously you just go to whichever scene you want and then recall that scene, and there you have it. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the board. One other thing is this guy right down here, the 2-track in that runs a tape. It's an RCA, which is the red and white plug-in in the back. Comes out to a headphone jack, which is over here right now, and it's plugged into the computer, but that's how you can run things to the mains, out through here, go to the main with it, and you can play stuff from your computer or cell phone or whatever, and that's how you would use that. Alright, so there you go. Hope this helped.